The conservative movement was shaken to its core on September 10, 2025. A day that began with anticipation and political fervor on the campus of Utah Valley University ended in unimaginable tragedy. Charlie Kirk, the provocative and influential founder of Turning Point USA, was in Orem, Utah, kicking off his highly anticipated American comeback tour. He was a figure who thrived in the spotlight, engaging directly with students, both supporters and detractors, in often fiery exchanges that became his trademark. In the middle of a pointed discussion with an audience member regarding mass shootings in the United States, a single, deafening crack echoed across the campus. Confusion quickly turned to panic as Charlie Kirk collapsed on stage. He had been struck by a bullet, fired from a distance by an assassin concealed on the roof of a nearby building, approximately 142 yards away. The shot was precise and devastating, hitting him in the neck. First responders rushed to his side as chaos erupted, and he was quickly transported to a nearby hospital. Despite the frantic efforts of medical staff who performed emergency surgery, the damage was too severe. Charlie Kirk, a towering voice of the American right, was pronounced dead. The news of his assassination sent shockwaves not just through the conservative world, but across the entire political landscape. Charlie Kirk was more than just a commentator. He was the architect of a sprawling youth movement. A co-founder of Turning Point USA, he had built the organization from a small campus project into a political powerhouse. His sudden and violent death left a gaping void at the head of the organization he had poured his life into building. For Turning Point USA, the loss was existential. Charlie was not just their leader, he was their brand, their chief strategist, and their most tireless advocate. In the immediate grief-stricken aftermath, the organization faced a daunting challenge. How could it possibly move forward without the man who had been its heart and soul? The movement he created was left reeling, facing an uncertain future in the wake of an unthinkable act of political violence. In the somber days following the assassination, the board of Turning Point USA convened to address the monumental task of appointing a new leader. The decision they reached was both surprising and deeply personal. On Thursday, September 18th, the board announced that Erika Kirk, the widow of the organization's slain founder, had been named the new CEO and chair of the board. The move signaled a desire for continuity and a profound respect for the Kirk family's legacy. Erika, who had largely maintained a more private profile compared to her husband's public-facing role, was now thrust into the most prominent position within the conservative youth movement. Before her marriage to Charlie, she was Erika Franceva, a former Miss Arizona, a dedicated advocate in her own right. She had worked alongside Charlie, supporting his vision, contributing to the cause behind the scenes. Her background provided her with an intimate understanding of the organization's inner workings and the deeply held principles that drove its mission. Her life had been inextricably linked with Turning Point USA, not just through her marriage, but through a shared commitment to the ideals it championed. This deep, personal connection made her a unique candidate for the leadership role. The decision to elevate Erika was not made lightly. The board sought a leader who could not only manage the vast operational demands of the organization, but also serve as a unifying figure for a grieving and disoriented base. Her proximity to Charlie and her shared passion for the movement made her a natural if unexpected choice. Her election was a statement that the mission would continue, embodied by the person who knew its founder best. It was an acknowledgement that the fight Charlie had started was now a legacy she was uniquely positioned to carry forward, transforming her role from a supportive partner to the movement's new standard-bearer. The board of Turning Point USA's decision to appoint Erika Kirk was resolute and unequivocal. In their official statement, they announced that she had been unanimously elected to the dual roles of CEO and chair of the board. This unanimity was critical, sending a powerful message of stability and unity to a shaken organization and a watchful public. It demonstrated that the leadership was in complete alignment, closing ranks in a time of crisis and placing their full confidence in Erika's ability to lead. Crucially, the board's statement revealed a detail that lent an almost sacred weight to their decision. They disclosed that their choice was not merely a reaction to tragedy, but a fulfillment of Charlie Kirk's own wishes. According to the announcement, in prior discussions, Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death. This revelation transformed the appointment from a difficult choice made under duress into the enactment of a succession plan laid out by the founder himself. It imbued Erika's new role with a sense of destiny, suggesting that Charlie had foreseen her potential to lead and had trusted her, above all others, to carry his legacy forward. This foresight spoke volumes about the relationship between Charlie and Erika, painting a picture of a partnership that extended far beyond their personal lives and into the very heart of the movement they built together. It suggested that he saw in her the same strength, passion, and strategic mind that defined his own leadership. For the organization's staff and supporters, this knowledge was a source of profound comfort and inspiration. It meant that in following Erika, they were also honoring Charlie's final directive. The transition was not just a practical necessity, but a continuation of his vision, guided by the person he trusted most. The weight of this mandate is immense. Erika Kirk now steps into her new role not only as a grieving widow, but as the chosen successor to a conservative icon. She carries the burden of her own sorrow alongside the immense responsibility of leading a multi-million-dollar organization with a national footprint. The board's unanimous vote, fortified by the revelation of Charlie's wishes, provides her with the strongest possible foundation from which to begin this new chapter. It is a powerful endorsement that arms her with the authority and the moral standing to guide Turning Point USA through the turbulent waters ahead. While Turning Point USA grappled with its future, law enforcement launched an intensive, multi-state effort to find the person responsible for Charlie Kirk's murder. The brazen daytime political assassination spurred a massive, swift response. After a tense two-day manhunt that captivated a horrified nation, authorities made a breakthrough. A 22-year-old man named Tyler James Robinson was arrested. The critical tip came from his own family, who notified police after recognizing his behavior. A painful but crucial decision that led to his capture. Following his arrest, the legal process moved quickly. Prosecutors in Utah charged Tyler Robinson with serious offenses, headlined by aggravated murder. They announced their intention to seek the death penalty. The additional charges included felony discharge of a firearm causing serious body injury, obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and a charge for committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. As the wheels of justice began to turn, plans to honor Charlie Kirk began to take shape. Turning Point USA announced a massive public memorial service. The chosen venue, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The large arena signaled an expected monumental turnout. Tens of thousands of followers, activists, and allies. The list of scheduled speakers read like a who's who of the conservative establishment: former President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. They were among the prominent figures slated to pay tribute. Their presence underscored Kirk's impact on high-level American politics and the deep sense of loss across the Republican Party. The event was poised to be both a somber mourning and a powerful demonstration of solidarity and resolve. In her first public statement after the assassination, delivered just 2 days after her husband's death and before her official appointment, Erika Kirk's grief was palpable, but it was forged with an iron resolve. Her words were not just those of a widow in mourning, they were the first salvo from a leader preparing for battle.
You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife.
This was not a plea for sympathy, but a promise of action. She was channeling her personal anguish into a source of strength, signaling to friends and foes that this tragedy would not break the movement, but instead galvanize it. Her most powerful line resonated as a declaration of war against the forces that took her husband's life. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry, she vowed. This phrase immediately became a rallying point for Turning Point USA's supporters. It reframed the narrative from one of victimhood to one of righteous fury and renewed purpose. In that moment, Erika Kirk stepped out from behind her husband's shadow and defined her own leadership style. One born of fire and loss, but fiercely focused on the future. She was making it clear that her tenure would not be a passive continuation, but an active and aggressive fight for the principles she and Charlie held dear. As Turning Point USA looks to the future, it does so under a leader whose mandate is personal and political. Erika Kirk is now the embodiment of the movement's resilience. Her battle cry has set the tone for what is to come, an organization that will not retreat or soften, but will instead advance with renewed vigor, fueled by the memory of its fallen founder. The fire ignited within her is now the fire that will light the path forward for thousands of young conservatives across the country. The tragedy of Charlie Kirk's assassination has created a martyr for the conservative cause, and in Erika Kirk, that cause has found its new champion.